Now, I think we all know, and a lot of us love the brand Hamilton, but when we think of Hamilton, or at least when I think of Hamilton, my mind goes straight to their car key field watches, which are fantastic watches, and they're really well known for them, and they are very popular. But that tends to then overshadow some of their other watches that they have available, and other watches that they have available in what I call their back catalogue, their sort of recently used watches. And there's one line that I think deserves a lot more attention, and that's what I'm going to do today, draw some attention to the Hamilton Jazzmaster. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I am talking about watches. And I wanted to do this bit of a dive into the Jazzmaster lineup and the previous Jazzmasters that have been sold and are now currently available on the used market, all because of this watch here. This Jazzmaster Traveller 2 GMT is my favourite watch in my collection, and it is not a watch that I'd ever seen before prior to this one popping up on one of my Instagram feeds. But as soon as it did pop up, I knew that I loved it. And once I had it in my collection and I realised it was my favourite watch, I then started to look at what other Jazzmaster watches are out there. And what turns out to be rather interesting is just the sheer diversity of watches that are available within the Jazzmaster lineup. And that's why I wanted to do a little bit of a dive into them. Not so much the history of them, but just to see what is available and come up with some amazing watches to share with you guys. So today, I want to take you across to my desk and then share with you 10 incredible and significantly varied styles of Hamilton Jazzmaster watches. So as I looked into the Jazzmaster range, I realized just how much variety and variations there are within that range, which is the main reason I really wanted to share these ones with you today. And I picked 10 that I think show a bit of more of the differences between them, but also some that I just particularly like. And I'm going to be utilizing Chrono24 to share them with you today. And I use Chrono24 a lot when I do search for watches, just because there's just so many watches on that website, and they also present them in a really good, easy way to look at, with specifications and sizing and things. And it's a good website to use in this sort of video format to share them with you today. But if you see any that you do like, just like I do, you might find them on Chrono24, but then look beyond that as well, because although I use Chrono24 a lot to look for watches, I then end up sort of buying them generally from elsewhere. Occasionally do buy on Chrono24, but it's good to look elsewhere as well. And I'm going to have all the watch priced in AUD, Australian dollars today. And that is because I'm not actually showing you prices specifically. If you really want to know the variations or the conversions, I'll leave that up to you, do yourself. Today I'm more focusing on showing you watches versus prices of watches. But let's jump into the first one. And the first one, well, this is a bit of a doozy. I deliberately started with this one. This is probably the most funky out of all of it. This is the Face 2 Jazzmaster. This is a big one, and it's an interesting one too. Case is 53 millimeters. I get it. This is probably not one you're going to be buying one for yourself, but it's a bit like their sort of showcase for this particular watch. 60 hours of power reserve, but let me show you why I specifically wanted to show you this one. I'm going to not pick one of them. I'm going to deliberately pick one that's been sold by somebody. You can see here, this dial. Let's keep going. Interesting strap. Let's keep going. You can see it's a chronograph. Let's keep going. Let's keep... Oh, they're not going to show it. They have to show it. Oh, well, let me show you a different one. I do apologize for that. Let's go back. Let's find another one, because the whole point about this watch is it has a particular feature that you want to see. And if they don't show it on the listing, well, then how would you know? Let me see. Is he going to show it here? That's just the watch. Come on. He didn't show it. Ah, there was one further. All right, I do apologize. This here is one face of the watch. And this, oh, there we go. There's one face of the watch. And that's the other face of the watch. This whole interior of the watch spins around, so you get two options. One is that one is the other one, but it's also a chronograph. So that chronograph must engage on both parts of the movement. You must have to press something and it spins around, which is very, very cool. But it is very, very huge, and it is also very, very expensive. I'm only showing you this one because it's just kind of cool, really. From 2017, and yeah, it's huge. But it just shows you this is in the Jazzmaster family. Just shows you the variations of what you can get from this particular company. And I deliberately showed you this one next, the Thin Line Auto, because this is also a Jazzmaster, and it's completely different to what I just showed you. It's also a completely different size, 40 millimeters. This one, however, 40 millimeters is nice, but I think it's 9mm thick or high. I know it's under 10mm, which is absolutely incredible, and you can get them a lot cheaper than this. Check this one out on ashford.com because that's where I've found the cheapest variations of this one. Let me just show you even this one, $680 like new. See some pictures. There is one thing that has stopped me buying this one, however, and I've looked at this one a lot and I've seriously considered a lot. You'll see it's mechanical. All the watches I'm showing you today are mechanicals because that's the ones that interest me. I think it's 9.5mm thick. I think that's what they list it as. But the thing that stopped me buying this one, and it is such a shame, I probably should get over it, but I just don't seem to be able to, is that there is no running second hand. So there's no movement on the dial. It's a two-hander with a date window at the 6th. Everything about this watch is lovely. The thickness of it, the mechanical movement, the brand, the general style of it, the overall size, how lovely it would sit on wrist. But I just need some movement, so that one puts me off this one. This one and the next one I'm going to show you are a little bit similar, and this is probably what I'm going to say is like a very standard Jazzmaster look. Well, this is what comes into my mind. So this one and the next one I'll go through fairly quickly because there's a bit of a differences in the case size. So this is 40mm. Let me show you the next one. You can see that's quite similar, but I think this is a bigger. This is a 44. So these two watches, and yes, I'm doing 2 for 1 here. Let's have a quick look, and I'll go back to the other one there and see display listings as well. Click on that one. So one's a 40 and one's a 44. So they're very similar looking. A standard sort of nice three-hander with the date at the 6 o'clock there. Nice bracelet. Reasonable price, and I know you can get them better than that. And this is a new one. Let's click back to the other one. So that's the 40. This is the 44. This is a bigger one. So if you got a big wrist, there is a big version available for you. And one of the things I really like about Jazzmasters, and it really does grab my attention almost the most out of all of it, is the case sort of shape. See this sort of interesting crown guard? Let's have a look at the other side of the watch. Yeah, this here. It almost looks like lugs that have been attached, although it is one piece. And these are brushed, a bit of polish here, and then brushed here. This is one of my favorite case profiles. I love that, and I have this on my GMT, and I'll show you that at the end of this video. I think that looks absolutely brilliant. Does it have it on the smaller version? This is the smaller version again. Let's zoom in. Should have the same. Oh, butterfly clasp. Yeah, it looks like it's the same. Come on, show me a side. Show me the side. Come on, show me the side. It's not going to show me the side, is it? Either way, you can sort of see that the lugs look like they're sort of attached with a separation there, and I think that just looks very, very cool. So those two are very similar in that same sort of price range. A fairly simple sort of three-hander, but a very nice looking three-hander, but in a smaller and a larger size. Oh, hello there. Just thought I'd interrupt just for a moment, just to ask you a big favour. This favour is super easy, costs you absolutely nothing, but makes a big difference to me, and that is, could you please subscribe if you have not done so already? Thank you very much. Now let's get back to this video. And although this one has a bit of a similar look to it as well, it is a little bit different because the numbers there look completely different, dates in a different spot, and then it has a sub-second down there at the 6 o'clock. Let's have a quick look at just the size of it. I think this one is a 40mm. That's a nice size. Yeah, I like that one. Let's see if there's any listings of this one to show you some other more interesting photos. Here we go, some better photos. Look at that price, $7.95. Okay, it's not in great condition, but if they're coming out at that, generally means you can find these at sort of good prices. Again, that same case sort of shape there you start seeing some similarities between these watches. But yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's a cool looking watch and a nice size. Just a nice watch, yeah. And there's plenty of them available. See, yeah, there we go. See, there's the nice shape of the case there. I really do like that. And there's a heap of chronographs as well. This one here I think looks kind of the coolest out of all of them with a different sort of panda, almost reverse panda. Date there, $2.5 grand. They are cheaper than that. I've seen them a lot cheaper than that. Being chrono, they aren't hugely small or smally huge, one of the two. 42mm, I'm not sure what I was saying there. I do apologize. Let's have a look at the display listings. Let's find one that's actually showing you the watch. That one there. Yeah, again, same case profile there, like that. Nice sort of dimensions. It's got loom there, so it has a sporty element to it. And what I do like about these chronographs from the Jazzmaster is the pushers. They're not the big piston pushers. I like them more integrated. They almost look like crown guards to it. Let's flick through a couple. I think that looks quite cool. I think I actually had a friend who was looking for a chronograph watch for her husband for her 40th, and I got her to buy one of these. It wasn't exactly this one, but it was a Jazzmaster chronograph, and it was so much better than what she was looking at and what he had picked out for himself. He's now so happy that he's got a significantly better watch, because he was looking at some sort of one of those sort of non-brand watches that was way overpriced. And this Hamilton, the one that I picked from him, was amazing. And it was in this sort of general style, just a different variation of it. And then there's something like this. This is a power reserve watch. Completely different colored dial. I think this is a 42mm. Yeah, this is a 42mm. Being in their Swatch group as well, they've got those nice, reliable movements. Yeah, ooh, look at that silver sunburst. I didn't even realize they had a sunburst dial. That's cool. I do like that. Unguarded crown. Looks like blue hands. I actually quite like power reserves on watches, depending on the watch. Gives a little bit of something extra. And I like how they got this flash of red in there. I think that looks quite nice. Yeah, that sunburst dial. Problem with making videos like this is I'm trying to find watches to show you guys, but then I start wanting them myself. It's a bit of a vicious cycle. Make videos, but then want to buy more watches. So some of you reach out to me and say, hey, you cost me all this money because you showed me a watch that I then had to buy. Well, I'm doing it to myself as well, so you don't need to complain. But this one is probably the one that's on my list at the moment. I have a bit of a thing about this regulator style. If you're not sure what a regulator watch is or a regulator movement, it means basically there's a subdial which has the hour, subdial that has the second, then it has a large minute hand. Now, this one, I like the Jazzmaster range in general because they're cool with that case, but I do like this variation. And I think you'll start seeing now there's just so many variations within this range. Look, sunburst within those subdials and more of a matte finish elsewhere, mechanical automatic movement. Oh, I think this one may end up one day in my collection. It's definitely already on my wish list. This is the one that sort of grabbed my attention first and I started looking at a lot. I think it's a 42. Did I show you that already? I now can't remember. ETA movement. So it's actually got an ETA caliber H12, 42mm. So it's a bigger watch, but I think it just looks absolutely amazing. And I'm sure if you kept an eye on it, find one better. But look, this one's new from 2023. Oh, making these videos is just going to cost me too much money, I think. Now, this is one of the only ones I could find of this Jazzmaster Seaview. But look, this has got a moving bezel. How different is that? And $600. Well, okay, it's going to be a little bit more once you import it and things. Let's have a look at the size. It's a 44mm. Okay, it's quite big, this one, but I had to show it because, again, I'm trying to show you some pretty cool and interesting watches, but I'm also trying to show you the variety within the range. And you can see the lugs there. I wonder if it will show it. I'll use this one over here. Let's move across a little bit. Chronograph. They do some good chronographs, really. There you go. So it definitely is a Jazzmaster because, look, there's those lug features, but it has a moving bezel and it's a chronograph. I wonder what the water resistance is on this one. Oh, lots of photos. Oh, a little bit of corrosion there. This must be one of the older ones, I would think. You get some amazing bargains when you're buying out of Japan. I think this one was from Japan. 2020, so that's not actually that old. Well, there you go. Somebody just really loved this. Yes, you can see it's from Japan. What's the water resistance, does it say? Oh, quartz. Ah, that's a bit disappointing. But I don't normally show quartz watches, but I really wanted to show you this one because it was just so different for this particular range of watches. And I've got to finish off with this. This is a watch that I have, not my specific watch, obviously. I'll show you some footage of my actual watches, which is probably better than showing you pictures on the website here, but I'll flick back and forth a little bit. This is the watch that I first came across that just grabbed my attention. It's my favorite watch in my collection. It's one I wear all the time. I absolutely love it. And it just has remained something very special for me, and it has captured my attention so much that it has drawn me towards looking at watches that aren't as obvious as some other watches. You know, if I hadn't really dug into the Hamilton brand, I probably wouldn't have even been aware of these watches, but I'm so glad that I am because it's ended up being the best watch in my collection, or at least one of my absolute favorite watches in my collection. And I hope that I perhaps drew some attention to the Jazzmaster range. Definitely worth digging into a little bit more because that's only the tip of the iceberg, especially in regards to variations, because even within the ones I showed you, there's lots of different color variations and dial variations. Definitely worth a look. And because they're probably not the most popular watches from Hamilton, quite often you can get them at awesome prices too. And if you enjoyed that video, I do appreciate it. And perhaps then you might want to watch one of my other videos.